an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering WestWorld, Season 2, Episode 3, Virtu e Fortuna. In this episode, I just winged that pronunciation. Hopefully it's somewhere near right. And I don't understand Wyatt's plan here.
Okay.
Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Natasha.
I'm RoShawn.
And yeah, I'm not sure what the sacrifice of all those troops was for. Can you walk me through that? What's that about?
My thinking is that it probably is a way to kind of cull the amount of men that she's going to have to deal with from the extraction team. Because they got numbers when they were in the lab, right, of how many people to expect that she's going to have to deal with.
Right.
You know, what was it, like 600 to 800? So if she can knock out a couple hundred, it's got to be good for her.
But why is she why did they lock out the Confederados and keep them from coming inside the walls?
Well, she needed to have her people someplace safe. If the Confederados come in and then the extraction team comes in, then they're all kind of in there together, and there's not a way to make sure that her people are unharmed.
But her people came in like a full 5 minutes before the Confederados got locked out.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the safety argument. That doesn't seem like a factor to me. Like, her people were inside the walls, behind the doors and safe, and then they closed the gates and shot through it at the Confederados, purposefully killing them themselves.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Are you just saying that? Are you being coy, or because the way that you're responding makes me feel like you saw a different scene than I saw?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Fine. I see.
I mean, I gave you my interpretation.
It just doesn't
you had further questions, and I don't know.
I don't understand. Like, I can't see the advantage. I mean, what's the point? I just don't get it. Yeah. So, like, there's this moment of just, I told you I needed your men, and like this like sort of face off with her and the colonel and his little friend. But I'm not like feeling like, oh shit, look what she did. 'Cause I don't get it at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know what they think she did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's another part of it, is that it feels like they're accusing her with more understanding of what it is that she's actually doing than I have. And I'm not even sure that they're aware of their own situation. So right. I don't know that they could possibly understand what she's... I don't know. That whole scene honestly fell kind of flat to me in the end.
Okay.
Because that didn't like pan out, and it didn't even seem clear to me that I wasn't supposed to understand her plan yet. Do you get me?
I do.
Yeah. If they had left it in such a way as like somebody was like, why did you do that? And she was like, I have a plan. Then I'd be like, oh, all right. So nobody knows what the fuck is going on. But we never actually hear anybody ask. Everyone seems to like get it. So either I totally missed something, or it's not clear, and that's just not really well done. But anyway, jumping ahead a little bit there. Let's talk about some peacocks.
Yeah. So we, it opens up on a very lush, colonial India kind of thing. What did you think of all this?
Yeah, this was like a scene right out of Poirot. It's like 1920s, you know. This guy just emailed me back, RoShawn.
Oh
I'm not doing this today. I'm putting myself.
No, we're not doing it.
Nope.
I need you to flag that email address.
I just turned it on. Do not disturb. But yeah, it took me a second to even realize that this was also the park, you know, because it being a different period. I never really thought about different periods for each of the parks. But I really like that idea. It's just very disturbing that, of course, everybody who is a guest is white, it seems like. I guess there are a couple women sitting at tables, but you're not sure if they're hosts or not. And it feels like most of the hosts are of color. So the whole vibe is very like, you guys just kind of wanted to do a plantation thing, didn't you? But you just felt like maybe I shouldn't go that far. So you relocated the idea somewhere else. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Also, this dude who's hitting on this woman at the table definitely looks like a Nazi. So I think that also influenced my feeling of the whole scene, because he's straight up out of like a fucking Indiana Jones movie. And this woman that he's hitting on has this like journal that she's being very protective of. And I have a theory on this chick, and I don't know, you know, it like, this was something that got put into my head by Owen. Last episode, you know, we went back and saw the retirement party / coronation of, Delos Sr. Mm-hmm. And we see William's wife and daughter, and I did wonder, are we going to see any more of his daughter, like present day? Because we know his wife killed herself. But his daughter, I don't know what happened to her. I wonder about her. And there's like been enough time has passed, you know?
Right.
And Owen said something like, I wonder if that's his daughter. And I was like, oh shit, maybe. Which might explain why she is so deeply unwilling to have sex with a host.
Like, that's really interesting.
You know,
I was going to ask you next, what did you think about that dynamic where they definitely want to make sure that they're having sex with another human, which is a weird specific thing when you go to the trouble of going to a park like this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It feels like this enjoying herself does not seem to be the main event for her here. She's not here for the fun of it. And the fact that he seems like he'd probably be fun, if only she can guarantee that he's an actual person, is just like a little bit of a bonus. She's definitely somebody with a fucking like goal here, because she is super focused in every scene she's in. Mm-hmm. And you're just not sure focused on what exactly.
Right, right.
But yeah, so she decides that she wants him to, you know, be her target practice to prove that he is actually a person. And
yeah, she's like, you know, what's the worst that can happen? You know, if you're who you say you are, it'll just be a bruise. And if you're not, you won't remember it anyway.
So it's like a BB gun, I guess?
Well, this is the thing. We talked in the last episode about what is the deal with the guns.
Right.
And it's never, it hasn't been explicitly spoken to yet, right? And I was, without trying to spoil, it never really is. So I just did some digging around, which I try not to do too much of. Like I do read stuff when the show is happening, but I try not to go like too crazy, because I know eventually we're going to be talking about it ourselves.
Right.
But I went digging, and the answers that I found are not satisfactory, and I'm kind of sad that I went digging for them. Ah. But this is what the show had to say, or one of the writers had to say. So what the deal is the guns in the park. We already know that the hosts are programmed to not hurt humans. So that's why they don't physically, you know, attack and murder humans because they can read who's a human and who's a host, right?
Right.
We learned that in the first season. So what the writer said was the guns that are used in the park are real guns with real ammunition. But because it's the future and there's some kind of tech that no one can explain, the guns can read what the target is. And if it's a human target, somehow the velocity is slowed.
Oh.
So that when the gun fires, it's not firing at, I guess, air quotes, full speed. So it doesn't do the amount of damage it can do. But when the gun is trained on a host, the gun recognizes that it's a host and fires at full velocity and does the damage that it does.
Huh. Okay.
I don't love that, but that was pretty much the only thing that I could find. And it turned out to be a question that literally everyone asked.
Yeah, because
it was
like
all over the place.
Because like there was a moment here where I was like, "Is this the past again?" Because that was what we had with William in the past. Was that the guns knock you down, and we were like, "Well, that's not how it is." So apparently they upgraded that or updated it or whatever. So
well,
that,
that wouldn't work. Well, no. I mean, I'm going to stop talking.
So yeah, like,
almost got me.
I was operating for a second, like, okay, this is more flashback stuff. But then when we see her go over with the tiger and the tiger wash up, I'm like, well, I guess not, unless they're like really trying to be like, oh, more than one tiger got drowned. You don't know which tiger this is. Is it the tiger from 20 years ago? In which case I'd be like, come on, show. Come on. Stop fucking with me.
That's enough.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, so I'm glad that it's not just me wanting to know about that, because I did find that a little bit baffling. And yeah, this dude is clearly more into her than she's into him. Like, she's very detached. You're fun and sweet and cute and everything, but you know. And so she shoots him, he goes down, and it turns out he is a person. He's just bruised. And, then the next scene, they're like on some safari on elephant back, and they stop at this little camp, and all of a sudden all of the other hosts have disappeared. And this dude has obviously never been here before because he doesn't see anything weird about this. Mm-hmm. But she knows how this is all supposed to work.
Right.
And
it's weird too because he claimed to her, remember when he sat down and he was like, oh, you're here to hunt the Bengals. You know, me too. But like, he's, talking like, oh, he's done it 1,000,000 times.
Right.
You don't know what you're talking about, dude.
It's so weird how men talk as if they know things when maybe they don't. So
how about
strange.
that?
I just
weird, crazy phenomenon.
Never saw that before.
There was also a moment when they sat down at the table when the host comes over and tries to pull one of them away. Mm-hmm. And he's like, it's like they don't want us to hang out.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to keep us apart for some reason. And I don't like are they like purposely missing her? Because, well, I guess not. I don't know. Because like she notices the blood on the side of one of the tents. This kind of killed me, to be honest, because she looks in there. Then one of the hosts comes up behind them, and this dude turns around and is like, oh, it's fine. They can't hurt us. And she's like, no. Those people were guests. I rode the train with them. And I'm like, girl, why did you wait to say this to him until you guys were standing there staring in at this carnage as he says, oh, a new narrative. Interesting. Or a twist in the narrative. Why wouldn't you say, no, those are not hosts right there? But she waits until, and so there's part of me that's like, did she set this up? But then this guy comes after her, it feels, in a very sincere way after killing her partner there. So I don't know. She shoots half his face off. But the whole way that this goes down is just like surprisingly awkward for this show. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, tell me what you mean by that.
I mean, like how unbelievable that conversation went. That he says a new twist in the narrative, and there's like a full 30 seconds before they notice the other host walking up to them. And she has not said yet, no, those are also guests. This is not just part of the story. This doesn't make sense.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like, that would be the first thing out of my mouth, because I would already be panicking, going, what the fuck? And thus him walking towards the guy and being like, don't worry, they can't hurt us. And it's not until he says that. It's not even him walking towards the guy that triggers her being like, no, those were guests. It's him saying, don't worry, he can't hurt us. And then and then she finally says something. I'm like, what took you so long? So, like, the whole way that this is handled feels really weird and unnatural to me. Especially because, like I said, she seems like a very focused person. So the idea that she wouldn't be right on top of explaining what's happening and what she knows versus what he knows doesn't seem like who she is.
I wonder if it's possible, like, if you are so accustomed to things being a certain way, and, you know, and you get, like, lulled into this sense of safety, like the guy is almost an extreme version of this sense of safety, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's just doing too much, walking towards someone that's aiming a gun at you. Like, that's just never really a good idea.
Yeah.
But if you are used to things being a certain way and you feel really comfortable and safe there, it could take a beat or two to let your instincts protect you in the way that they're supposed to, you know? Like, one of the things that keeps us safe in the real world is, like, being aware of, like, danger and things that are out there that can go wrong, that can hurt you. But if you're someplace where you feel like you can't really be hurt, I wonder how much of that gets dulled.
I don't buy it. Like, not only does they already had a bit of a conversation when he's like, well, maybe they're giving us our privacy. And she immediately replies with, that's not really how this works. So she has no problem with kind of correcting him and pointing out, I know what this is and you don't. And yet, in the moment where it really matters, she doesn't say anything. Doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
But in any case, she shoots that guy's face off. She starts to run, and then there's a tiger coming after her. And this tiger doesn't give a shit about laser wire or whatever the fuck. They're like, you have reached the end of the guest experience area. Please turn back. And this tiger's like, nah. And she comes up on the edge of this quarry lake thing. And she's using one of those old-fashioned guns that only gets one shot. The shotgun. And then
it's very impractical.
Oh, it's a bad plan. I guess if you're up on an elephant back, it's fine. But someone took those elephants away. They were thinking ahead. So she lifts the gun and shoots this tiger, like, just as it tackles her, and they both go over the edge of the quarry.
That was a pretty cool shot.
It was, yeah.
You know, because it gets right up, like, you know, it like a nice hug.
It could almost be sweet if it wasn't so deadly.
And so then we go to the credits.
Yes.
So this episode, which I think, said lovely. I wanted to look it up to see what it meant or what it was referring to. Mm-hmm. And are you already familiar with it? You might be, because you're very knowledgeable about all kinds of things.
The thing that rang a bell was like, it sounded like the name of a song from an opera.
But, Fortuna. Oh, yeah.
But that's all I've got.
About?
Yeah, maybe. Honestly, I don't even, like, when I say rang a bell, I really mean it in that sense. Like,
okay.
Something.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. Anyway, okay, so it is from The Prince. And Virtu and Fortuna are I'm reading this, are two concepts in The Prince that translate to virtue and fortune. In Machiavellian concepts, virtue refers not to classical virtues like fortitude or justice, but rather the quality that makes a good leader in Machiavelli's eyes. Virtu is the ability to be ruthless when necessary, but also to be good, in quotations, when the situation arises. A leader with virtue has the ability to make whatever decision is needed to keep their country stable and to advance their goals. And Fortuna just means chance or luck. Things that happen that you can't control, but if you have enough virtue, you will be able to overcome them because you've planned well enough and strategized well enough.
Okay. Interesting.
So there's that.
That could be Wyatt or that could be someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping it's Wyatt because I really want that thing to like make sense. And just wanting a bunch of dead hosts, like...
Well, okay, let's talk about dead hosts for a second.
I like that you said that, and then you're like, and by that I mean you.
But I'm not going to be the one talking.
I don't know. I don't like. She has that guy that can help heal them, but we didn't see him like at all this episode. We saw him last episode, bringing back the Confederados to come with her.
Right.
So yeah, I don't really know what the advantage would be to that.
What good they would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we won't talk about it.
All right then. Good talk. All right. So then we go. We have the, as you said, the opening credits, and then we have back in the present day, everybody who is grouping up with Bernard and what's the name of this guy that's like in charge of things? That's from
oh my God.
Vikings. I can never. But they go inside because one of the soldier types comes out and is like, yeah, it's a fucking bloodbath in there. 2 of the floors are still on fire. It's been wrecked. The cradle is totally destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's Georgina. She meets them. She was on the beach, but she's, I guess, gone ahead because she comes out, like you said, and gives them the rundown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Bernard and Stubbs and the guy from Vikings whose name I knew last time, but I am completely drawn a blank.
We'll just call him Floki because that's his name in Vikings. So Floki is pretty like silent, honestly, this episode. He doesn't say much. He just kind of like, I think the one line he has is like, no luck yet or something like that. And Charlotte is here. And she says, oh, Bernard, you got out. I didn't think you had it in you. And there's something about the way that she says that makes me so angry. Like, it's simultaneously really patronizing and condescending, but also, like, weirdly suspicious. Like, she really thinks something is up, but I don't think she thinks he's a host. I think she thinks that he's, like, working for some other fucking corporation trying to thwart her or something. Right. You know, like...
and it's weird because... the way the episode goes, we see Hale meet up with Bernard here, but we're like, wait, what? Because we haven't seen them separate.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that was my, I was live tweeting this episode and I was like, oh shit, so they got split up at some point. I wonder what happened. And then, like, the very next scene, we find out pretty much what happened.
So, yeah, his name is Strand.
Strand, right.
Strand.
No wonder I forgot it. That's not a memorable name.
It's not, is it? It really is not.
So yeah, she's asking Bernard if he knows what the hell happened to Abernathy. And says something like, he just keeps slipping through our fingers in this way, like you did something with him. And the last that we see of Abernathy this episode, he's being carted off by her guys. So, I don't know what you're doing, lady, but maybe keep an eye on your dudes.
Yeah. Well, it's because we're doing that weird thing with time. So, when we see her guys get him from Fort Forlorn Hope, that would have been before the scene we're talking about right now.
Right. Oh, by the way, watching this with Owen. Forlorn Hope is the name of a fort in the Fallout game.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. And
That's
there's like
really
lots of
funny.
little bits here that feel like that to him, so he feels like that has to be intentional. I cannot
That's
speak
so
to that.
funny, especially when you think about the fact that when they made the WestWorld game, they just copied the Fallout game.
How about that, though?
That's so weird that that's in the game.
Yep.
Oh my God, maybe something else is going on, because that game didn't get shut down.
It didn't? I thought that it did for... Oh, shit. All right.
Now I got a whole other conspiracy going on.
Interesting.
That's funny.
So yeah, Charlotte asks that, and he like has this like couple of flashes as he's trying to remember, and then we go back into another flashback where the two of them are still together, and they spot a group of people who have been captured, and Abernathy is among them, and they are being held hostage or for sale, really, by Mr.
High Hat.
Chop. What are they called? What do they call the chops?
Lamb chops?
The chop.
Lamb chop sideburns? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the sideburns that are mutton chops.
Mutton chops. I
Mr.
said
Mutton
lamb
chops.
Good God.
You were close. You were no further off than I was, just saying chop, chop, chops over and over again. This actor must have had such a fucking blast. Like, what a weird ass character, because this guy is a like gangster, but also kind of a dope, and he drinks milk threateningly, but then gets turned into like this over the top chivalrous. You must touch a woman with the gentleness of the petal of a rose. And I'm just like, what?
When he chases after that woman, I will protect you.
God.
She's like, get away from me.
Oh my, I was cracking up. And it makes a lot of sense because like we saw in the first episode, him stepping forward and being like, shoot a woman over my dead body.
Right. We were just like, what is up with him? That's not, last time we saw him, he was shooting a woman in the head.
Right. And like, so I was like, kind of took it for granted in that moment that when he said that, what he meant was, well, the woman I shot wasn't a woman. She was one of you guys. This is one of my people. I don't let you do this. But it's like, even if I thought about that for too long, it wouldn't have made sense because he shot Dolores's mom. Right?
Yeah.
So like, I wasn't really thinking that through. I just kind of went with that on the surface and didn't look at it any further. So now I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. So yeah, they jump him and reprogram him, and he comes back and shoots all his own guys and lets them all go as the Confederados roll up going, what are you doing, buddy?
You promised us people.
Yep.
And he takes care of them too.
He does. There's like 2 left, I think, out of like 8 of them or so.
What does Bernard say? We're going to make you the most virtuous and the quickest shot.
Yep. Oh my God, the look on his face when the Confederados roll up too. Like he's smiling like, oh, here they come. Like he's just excited for this confrontation. It's really funny.
He says this thing too where he just says, I can't abide. It just ends the sentence right there.
The dude does not abide.
What won't he do? Abide. That's what.
That's what. I'm just heeding my convictions. So yeah, everybody scatters all over the place. I really wish that like when people fled, they'd steal some fucking horses, because there are so many extra horses running around with saddles on now that half of these people have been shot.
Right.
And yeah, him chasing that woman is really funny. And for some reason, the Confederados, when they chase him, they like get off their horses, which I don't. Again, why don't people want to have horses? But
it must be a lot harder
to be on
deal
horseback?
with horses and be on it than I'm giving credit, because I often find myself being like, why would you get off of your transportation to walk and run?
Right. And like when they're walking towards, because they come at Abernathy, it's not like he's on the edge of a cliff top or a hillside even. It's fucking flat.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about horses. Maybe get up close to people to actually, get them in custody, sort of. You have to be off the horse to do it. I don't know.
I guess, yeah, maybe.
But then so Abernathy also can't abide.
He cannot.
And he decides he is going to stand his ground, and this is not the best time.
Yeah, he's a beautiful fool. He really does.
How good
that
is this
thing.
actor?
Okay, let's talk about
him.
I definitely got tweeted back by this actor. I'm super excited. And he tweeted at me because I said, like, tagged him and was just like, oh my God, I'm about to watch this episode and I see that Abernathy's in this and he's so good. And I can't wait to see what happens. And he tweeted me back and was just like, thank you so much. And I really hope you enjoy the episode and the rest of the season. And I responded with, like, the head explosion emoji. And he replied to mine again with just the big eye emoji of just like, oh my God. So yeah.
That's so fun.
I feel very pleased by that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And he is so good. It's stupid.
It's amazing. It's fucking like, why isn't he in everything all the time?
I really want to know.
Yeah, it's so good. I hope that this performance gets him like all the roles because he's so goddamn good. Like, later on in this episode, when he's at the fort with Dolores, good gracious.
You know? And like, it's not like he doesn't have a versatile look. Like, he looks like he could be on Game of Thrones easy.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. He could be any number of people.
He could be doing all kinds of things.
So I just don't know why I haven't seen him and stuff.
This is when fucking Charlotte just bounces too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how they get separated.
Yeah, this is because the first time I watched it, Owen said he told her to go. And I was like, he did? And the second time I watched it, I don't see that. Did he tell her and I missed it?
I think she
times?
kept saying, let's go. And then she fucking went.
And she just
I don't
bailed.
remember. And it's weird. Well, it's not weird because obviously she's fucking trying to protect herself. So, you know, and I'm not really even that mad at her about doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But getting Abernathy is her fucking mission. And she just fucking...
And that's like part of my thing is like, it's her deal, but she runs and then she has to be like, he keeps slipping through our fingers with this fucking tone. Like, bitch, you left. Do you think that he's worried about this? You're the one who, like, kind of made it clear that you weren't leaving without Abernathy. And so he, like, Bernard got involved on your behalf because he thought this was the way out of here, was helping you. Mm-hmm. And then you just fucking left him holding the bag. And now you're mad at him that he didn't follow through on some shit that you abandoned? No.
Oh, I just rewound it. Owen is right. Bernard did tell her to go.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand by it all anyway because
I do too.
Whether he told her or not, like, this is, like we said, it's still her responsibility, and she obviously did not need much prodding. So
the Confederados... And
she does steal a horse, which I will give her credit for.
Yeah. And then we cut to Wyatt, Dolores showing up to the fort.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of pomp and circumstance and a couple of people hanging from trees.
And everybody looks so dirty. Listen, good Lord.
Living in the past.
Plumbing
we'll
in this
talk
bitch.
About it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it in the next Unsober. Look at those heavy linens they're wearing in the desert.
Ugh.
He's all buttoned up and shit. You know he's hot.
They are disgusting. All that dust blowing around too, like, and there's bodies hanging from trees in the background.
Yep, which doesn't get any no acknowledgement.
Nope.
So he's like, he doesn't even talk to her. He talks right to his dude.
Yeah, he does.
To Craddock. You know, why are you following this woman, basically? Which is just rude.
I love her because he knows what's best for him. Which is like such a beautiful way to reply to that. Mm-hmm. Oh, so good.
This flaxen plum, he calls her.
I forgot he says that. Oh my god. The petal of a rose.
So she introduces herself as Wyatt here.
Yeah.
And he knows the name because Wyatt is fucking famous. Doesn't give her a whole bunch of, you can't be Wyatt.
No, he doesn't. I think that when, like, I think there's an assumption nobody's going to walk around pretending to be that person. Either she is, and like maybe that's also making sense why Wyatt has never been caught, because who the fuck's looking for a woman?
Right. So we see all of Wyatt's men come out of the woods, and they're all wearing like the mask that we talked about in the other episode. You know, that's just how Wyatt's men get down. Their faces all covered. And that, again, that was also in season 1. Because there was that whole story about how Wyatt's men weren't even really men anymore. They were like monsters.
And fucking Clementine comes walking out, dragging the guy from the lab, the security guard. This bitch is fucking terrifying.
She looks crazy as shit, right?
Oh my God.
Remember how sweet and pretty she was? And like, now I would cross the street if I saw her coming.
Fucking yes. She's like, first of all, she looks like just this side of a zombie. Like, she looks ill. And I know, like, they gave her basically a lobotomy. So she's still alive and functioning, I guess, but like can't really think for herself. Right. So she's almost a drone. Yeah,
and her facial expression, she looks like void of any kind of anything that she can do on her own. Like you said, she's just like something you give directions to. There's a scene, it cuts to her face and she's giving this kind of side eye.
Yeah.
And it is terrifying.
She's fucking scary, man. I'm really enjoying the fact that this season is full of women who are scary. Yeah. And Teddy, the one dude who's like a sharpshooter, is the one who's like, I don't know about this guy.
Right? He's all flinching and blinking and being, all wishy-washy. Meanwhile, Angela, Clementine, Dolores, Maeve, later Charlotte. In the episode, our friend shows back up. How excited were you to see her?
Yes. Oh my God. Because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. This dude runs out on fire and I'm like, I'm sorry. What the fuck? And then, yeah. Oh my God. I cheered.
Right. Yeah. It's good stuff. So Dolores is telling the general, the commander, why he has to listen to her. People are coming. She gives them the machine gun.
Which is a pretty fun little moment.
It is. I mean, it's got to be... to them, it might as well be a fucking, a UFO.
Magic wand.
A what?
A magic wand.
Yeah, basically. And they tell that guy if he can get to the ridge, he'll be free. That's a lie.
Yeah.
But he runs anyway.
Because what are you going to do? Just not run?
You got to run, right?
Right here. Like, yeah. You're dying either way. You may as well make an effort. I guess. I don't know. I'd probably not make an effort. Or else if I ran, I'd run in a zigzag.
They never zigzag.
They never zig or zag. Neither one. If you're not going to zig, at least fucking zag, guys.
Now, there's a good close-up of somebody hanging when they go inside the fort. And you get to see who it is. It's not necessarily who it is, but you see that it's a guest.
Oh, really?
Because they're in a tuxedo.
Oh, okay. I didn't even see that. Well, shit. So yeah, they welcome in her and her troop to Forlorn Hope.
Amid dog whistles and cat calls.
Indeed.
Teddy rightfully says that these people are animals.
Yes.
Or something.
Oh, Teddy. You sweet little bear.
And then we cut to Sizemore in this ridiculous outfit that I cannot even with.
It is so funny.
I can't.
He looks like he should be in like a Colombian coffee commercial.
Something.
My dad dressed up as Juan Valdez one Halloween before he became a born again, and he got
my God.
It was a very similar outfit, is all I'm saying.
I had a customer named that, and I just could not deal with them because I couldn't keep a straight face.
His name was Juan Valdez? I guess Juan is just a very, and Valdez isn't that unusual either. I've known at least two Valdezes. So,
exactly. Yeah. So there's a million of them out there, but I was not prepared to have to deal with one.
It's like Uncle Ben's. There's tons of Uncle Ben's.
You know, I just certain things I can't have happen to me in real life. And talking to Juan Valdez on the phone is one of them.
Oh my God. When I was working at that bank, some of the names that I saw, there was one guy whose name was, how did it go? His first name was Austin. His middle name was Houston.
Oh my God, I remember you telling me about that.
And I was just like, come on, people. Jesus Christ. One guy I met, and his name, no kidding, it was on his driver's license. It was on his account. It was, his first name was Smokey, and his last name was like Whiskey Tooth or something that was just just absurd. Just nobody's named this. If you told me that, I would never believe you. I would just be mad at you for continuing to fuck with me and stick by this ridiculous lie. But nope, it's fucking on his ID. Anyway, so yeah, they're all walking together, and Smallwood is insisting that they go underground again because they are way too exposed, and these dudes are going to be coming after them and taking down hostile hosts. And you know, there's every possibility he gets caught in the crossfire if that should happen. Right.
And they don't want to take his advice here, which I'm torn because I don't want to ever listen to him either. You know?
I think that's the majority of what it is just this like irritation with having been told what to do for so long and being able to see that clearly now, that even when somebody is right, you know, it's like going to college and suddenly realizing that your parents were very right about many things, but you finally are free of them and get to do what you want. So even though now you know, you still can't like listen.
Right.
So they're crossing the stream, and here comes one of the Lakota up the stream and looking terrifying. This, I know the whole deal with this getup is meant to be very intimidating. I don't know if this is like historically accurate or not, but it's very intimidating. Good job. Mission accomplished.
Fun note, when they're speaking Lakota, it's actually the language.
Oh yeah, I assumed. Yeah.
No, just making up, you know, jibber jabber.
I had a feeling they wouldn't do that because they would have gotten crucified. But also, people do dumbass things that you'd think they would know better all the time. So I still haven't learned, I guess. Yeah. But yeah.
And what did you think about Maeve not being able to control them?
I mean, they weren't able to be controlled by Stubbs either. Something's clearly going on with these guys. So when she couldn't, that didn't surprise me. Like, I kind of would have been surprised if she was able to get them to stop and Stubbs wasn't.
Okay.
But I don't know why. You know, I don't really know what the deal is with this. And I'm like still not sure if this is something that like Ford put in place specifically, or if it's something that they have managed to overcome like themselves as a tribe, like figuring things out, or I don't know what, you know, cause that would be pretty rad.
Right.
But yeah, so it didn't surprise me. I was just it was one of those moments of dread because I knew they weren't going to listen, but I knew that she wouldn't know that. So there's a momentary pause where you sort of think that, oh, maybe it did work. And then all of his buddies come out. Yeah.
And she has this great reaction when she first sees them, you know, she's like triggered, you know, by her. Up. Yeah. And then she like steels herself, tries to use the command, and then it doesn't work. And there's this panic on her face. And even when they get safely to the elevator, and, you know, she's kind of like panting, kind of catch her breath. You can see the fear on her face still. It's like your nightmare is like, you know, come to life and is chasing you now.
Yeah, she literally says to Hector, like, he haunts my dreams still.
Yeah, so that's a pretty intense scene.
It's real, like, I love the chase across the plains too. Like they are all just going so flat out, and when they disappear into the ground and you can see the look on his face as he watches them descend, and there's like a bit of shock there, but also like he had to see how Stubbs came up, or not him specifically, but they have to have seen. They're more on the outskirts of everything, where the staff seems much more free with how they come and go. So I feel like they must
have seen this before.
Yeah, that like mythology that she saw with the little girl that dropped her doll that was like one of the tech guys. Like, I bet that's stronger out here because they get to see all of that a little bit more. But yeah, I'm really curious what the hell is going to go on with them, because I'm really wanting the show to like do something smart with them. Last season, they were just there to be a stereotype, you know, just to be the bad guy out on the range.
Right.
So that we could play cowboys and Indians and have somebody trying to scalp us and, you know, all of this ordinary spaghetti Western nonsense. And so the fact that they're like giving them a little bit more this episode that feels like it's actually got something behind it besides just being bloodthirsty, like they want Smallwood. Why? They know who they want. What's that about? They're like, did they go for Stubbs? Like, I assumed that they went for Stubbs because Ford set it up to have Stubbs pulled aside, since Stubbs seemed to be getting wise to a lot of stuff. But there's no reason for me to think that. Like, Stubbs in the future seems like he still doesn't know about Bernard. Or if he does, he's just keeping that under his hat and not letting anybody else know, and not letting Bernard know that he knows.
And we still don't know how Stubbs is out.
Exactly.
Like, we don't know what happened once they snatched him up.
So, like, they could have converted Stubbs somehow. He could be, like, on their side a little bit. Or, because I'm guessing if they weren't sent by Ford, that they went and captured him specifically because they wanted somebody who was on the inside of whatever is being done to them. And they've managed to, like, single out who those people are.
And like you said before, I think it's a wonderful point that they have a opportunity to see a lot more of the kind of behind the scenes stuff, because they're so far out that, you know, these elevators are coming up out of the ground and then going back down, and they're, you know, get to see the text that they've incorporated into their mythology as a way to explain it. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what exactly they're up to.
And especially, like, we see that woman go over the edge, like, in an area that says this is the end of the guest experience. Like, I am certain that the hosts are all programmed to not have any interest in being within, like, a quarter mile of that borderline.
That would make sense.
But they're all doing whatever the fuck they want right now. So there's no, like, they could have found that border, or somebody could have just been pushing the envelope slightly every, you know, kind of how Dolores was, without the same kind of supervision that she had.
Wait, what do you mean?
Edging closer and closer to the border, disobeying their, like, programming to not have any interest.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And then comes across an edge where there's somebody proclaiming this is the end of the... Like, imagine if you found the edge of planet Earth. You know? Like, all of a sudden, it dropped off and there was just empty space. And it just was like, you know, don't go past this velvet rope here.
Right.
So,
well, their programming is supposed to make it so that it wouldn't seem like much of anything. But, like, what you're saying is if you keep doing it, you know, how long or how many times does it take before you can kind of start to see things? You know, to really see things.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful that turns into more of a thing, because also, like, while they are very intimidating and terrifying, they're also fine as hell, and I would not mind looking at them for a lot longer.
Listen, I mean, they just happen to be out in these fields with no shirts on. What's a woman supposed to do?
And I mean, you know, they're not like six-pack jacked, but that's not the look that I tend to like. They're like the kind of fit that is like, I know what I'm doing and it's fine kind of fit. And I'm like, yeah, six-pack abs don't do it for me, but like arms, I'm all right with that. Legs, yes, sign me up. And they got legs. You saw them sprint. All right. Anyway, so we go back to Camp Creep over here. All of these fucking dudes standing around staring at Dolores. They lead in the people that they managed to catch who had been released, one of whom is her dad. And we see Dolores really come back to the surface here. Mm-hmm. She's been all Wyatt. And then this moment, it's just like switch flipped. And they punch him in the gut and she steps in. Dude tries to act like, oh, really? You're going to tell me not to do this? And she's clearly going to shoot him in the head. No problem.
Yeah.
And Teddy steps up and punches the guy to save his life.
Basically, yeah. Teddy's like, I just saved your life. You better thank me.
Yep. Yeah, when she says, I'm only going to ask you once, this guy really doesn't understand. Like, she's not threatening you, dude. She's dead ass. But, yeah.
She, looks at Bernard.
Yeah.
Right in the face.
The way this all goes. She's just like, oh yeah, you're here. Well, she's got her focus.
Mm-hmm. This one can put him in the jail.
What is it that her dad's yelling when they come up? It's like, affliction is a treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Jesus Christ.
It's from something by, I don't know how to say his last name. I'll probably say it wrong, but it looks like Don, D-O-N-N-E.
I don't know. I am bound to a wheel of fire.
That is, that one I know. That's King Lear.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm almost positive. What is it? I'm bound to a wheel of fire. My tears are like lead or molten lead or something. Yeah.
Well, this moment is really because it's, again, Dolores is clearly here. And Teddy leads her dad into this room and comes out and says, well, who is he? And she looks so sad that he doesn't remember.
So he doesn't remember. Now, what do you think of this?
It's very confusing what is going on in Teddy's head. Like, I've been saying, I don't really have a good sense of what he understands and what he doesn't. Mm-hmm. And I feel that way about pretty much everybody in this show except for Dolores and Maeve. Like, right. Even Hector, who's like, later on is like, well, I realized that all of that was just something that words you put in my head. And I'm like, yeah, it's one thing to like know that about this one thing, but it's another thing to really know and remember and have all of this clarity about everything that you've ever done and ever been. Yeah. And so far, really, like you said, we only know, it feels like it's just Dolores and Maeve. Yeah. I thought it was weird because Dolores is Teddy's cornerstone, right? So her life, as they programmed it, is his cornerstone. So he should know. Oh, but you know what, though? Maybe it's because before all this shit happened, they changed the dad. Yeah. That's got to be it then. Yeah. That's what it is. Like, because that was, like, I assumed that he didn't remember because of changing out the dad, and that she thought that he'd remember all versions of everything and realizes that he isn't there. And I don't know if he'll get there. You know, like, there's a sort of attitude that she seems to have, like, eventually this will happen for everyone. Mm-hmm. Or maybe she doesn't even have that. Like, I'm kind of putting that on her, but I'm maybe thinking that myself, that eventually everybody will remember everything they've done and been. But maybe that's not. Well, yeah, clearly she thought Teddy at least could do that because she goes to the trouble of showing him. Yeah. I think maybe she thought that what she did in the lab would be enough. Yeah. And this is like showing her that it wasn't. Yeah, he can understand in an intellectual way what she's showing him is true and, like, appreciate that, but it doesn't suddenly make all of this other stuff that has been purposefully hidden from him apparent.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, she talks to her dad here about what has happened, what she did, and that there's a war, and that the others don't see it yet.
mhm.
But she's saying to him, "But you understand, right?" And he doesn't.
No, he sure don't.
And he's just, at this point, he's just spitting, dialogue from all these different, lives that he's lived.
Yeah.
Just like he starts to loop a little bit about being on the ranch or being home, and then he goes back to that, I need to get on the train. And this scene is it's heartbreaking, and he's so goddamn good in it.
He's so good.
And
It's
she is really
stupid.
good in this too, because like you said, we're seeing almost the Dolores that we first knew, and
Mhm.
we haven't really seen her yet this season. And here she is again. And it's like, oh, that's right, she can do that too.
Yeah.
I almost forgot that this actress could also be this thing. Yeah, all around, it's a phenomenal little moment in the episode.
His acting is just like this scene, and also the one, like, first of all, the moment her dad is back, he looks at her and says Dolores, and you're like, I didn't even need him to say Dolores. I saw his
See
face.
his face.
And it was her dad. Boom.
Mhm.
You just know
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And then later on, when he's talking to Bernard, and he gets this look and turns to him, and he hadn't said a word, and I just went, oh, I don't want this guy back. And Owen's like, what? And then he's like, what is the point of violent delights? And I was like, no, 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 no. And he thankfully went away real fast, because I was just like, not here for that at all.
But you're right, though. Even before he opens his mouth, you can see almost what we're going to get.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get the terrified, lost gentleman who's trying to make the train. Are we going to get the rancher? Are we going to get this? I don't know what to call this guy. This. Remember when they told us about the character that does all the Shakespeare, right?
Yeah.
That was a menacing character. They had written him.
He
to
was
be
a
some
fucking,
kind of
like,
serial
cannibal.
killer or something.
Yeah, he was a cannibal and led a cannibal cult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that guy shows up, you're right. Like, nobody wants to see him.
Mm-mm. He gets this look in his eye, like it's ice cold. The way that, honestly, Dolores looks when she's Wyatt, it's a really, really similar look.
Yeah.
Except his has a little bit more madness in it, whereas hers is like almost devoid of any emotion.
Yeah. His is like, it's barely contained,
Yeah.
like just the slightest thing and he's going to explode in a very dangerous way.
Yep.
And Wyatt is, very cold and empty,
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we say it all the time, but God, the performances that we're getting out of this show, they really are spectacular.
Yeah.
Mm.
And there's something so, like, I don't know if you had this because you lost your dad recently, but when she gets him back for a second, it's like a bad dream, and because then and it's almost like when people have Alzheimer's and they like have started to forget who you are and they remember for a minute and then they start to go again.
Then you lose them again. Yeah.
So there's that, like, Dolores, and he's talking to her and they're having this like moment of remembering together. And then all of a sudden I need to get to the train. And it's like he's completely gone again, and she just loses it. Yeah,
she does. She has to like run out of the room, and and she's in tears. And again, we haven't seen that kind of emotion from her this season.
Yeah,
and also it's like we know that they're hosts, right? And especially Dolores is interesting because she understands, like Maeve, that this is all just a story. It's all someone else's story.
Right.
But the feelings that Maeve still has for the daughter she's trying to find and the feelings that Dolores has for her father are real.
Yeah.
It would be easy, I guess, to write these characters like, oh, once they realize that, all this is fake, then everything becomes meaningless, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like they're recognizing that it's not real, but it still has meaning, which is a really interesting place to be.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure how you do that. Like, I'm trying to imagine a real world similarity, you know?
I mean, we keep on sort of, this is a similar set of questions as we had for Leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
With what happens when you start to realize, like, maybe everything doesn't mean anything. Maybe everything isn't, like, as reliable or predictable as I thought. And does that matter? Does that play into it? Or do I decide that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, it's an enormous question. And it's sort of like one of those arguments that a lot of people have about why do some people seem to need religion as a guideline to tell them what to value and how to behave, and other people don't seem drawn to that at all, because one lends a certain kind of meaning that not everybody wants.
Right.
And there's almost something to that with the way that everybody is coming awake in very, very different ways here.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are still sort of like, I like that there's almost a bit of like defiance there, where you told me to care about this person and you thought that you controlled me so completely that if I ever came out of this, that would no longer matter to me.
Right.
And I get to decide now if it's important or not.
That's what I love too, that she is making a choice to care for him.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he's in such a state that he really can't reciprocate it. Yeah. Also, they replaced him, right? And she's not supposed to notice. It's not supposed to mean anything. Like if she had bumped into the host that had played her father right before all this shit jumped off, would she have any of these feelings for that host? I feel like no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay.
And that's kind of what comes up next, too, because we have the scene with Smallwood underground with Hector and Maeve, and he's watching their interaction, and the two of them have been programmed to not give a shit about other people and to not be able to form close bonds with anybody and to be wholly independent. And then the two of them are obviously having this like really strong connection and alliance that doesn't make any sense with what he knows about their characters.
He's offended by it.
He's really I don't understand how this guy does not read the room a little bit better.
He is like, I mean, he is technically a hostage, but he just doesn't really behave like it. And he puts his hands on them and takes their hands apart. And it's just like, this isn't right. This is not how it's supposed to be. And later, after his outburst, Maeve makes a couple of insightful comments.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's like, in my opinion, like a little bit overreacting here. Like, this is not something that you should be on your radar of things to be concerned about as the world is on fire around you. But
you know what? It's really telling that he doesn't get like this until they're underground. They're back in his world now.
That's a good point.
A good point. I think that it's like when he's up there, he's trying to be on his good behavior because he's surrounded by God knows what. But here, it's like a reminder, we made them here in this building. How the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, there might be something to that because it is a very different reaction and a different behavior from him underground than the way we see him behave up top.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Maeve suggesting that he wishes that he was Hector, or that he made Hector to be the man that he wishes he were?
Definitely makes sense. I mean, if I were going to be like writing scripts, I would absolutely write a woman that I wished I was. Right? That's just like what you do, right? I figure.
Yeah, it seems like this is something he especially would do.
Oh, God. Yeah, this is the ultimate D&D campaign. You not only get to like build your character, but you literally get to build a human being. and watch them live this whole thing out.
Right.
Yeah. That makes total sense.
He's also upset about this idea that Hector is not pining for this Isabel character that is, I guess, supposed to be his cornerstone that he lost.
Mm-hmm.
Which I, thought was weird. But then it turns out that he wrote Hector to be pining for a woman that he lost.
Yeah.
And then, but in real life, she didn't die. She just left him. So just like a man, in his story he wrote, she died.
How about that?
Because in a story, the woman wouldn't choose to leave you, right?
Yeah. She just fucking croak.
I mean, if she's not with me and fucking me, then she might as well be dead, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she gets to be perfectly preserved in my memory forever.
Mm-hmm.
As this, yeah. So this, and I guess that makes sense why he's kind of freaking out, because, he's watching, if we go with the theory that he made Hector as the person that he wishes he was, with the idealized version of a love-lost story, he's watching Hector throw all that out the window and not respect
his story,
his own story.
Yeah. And we already know how he feels about his own writing.
Yep. And also how, he obviously has not formed another connection with another woman since then. So there's a suggestion here of they are literally programmed to only care about these people that you told them to, and they still manage to move on with their lives. What about you, guy? What are you doing? Which I'm sure is a little bit jarring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that can't feel very good.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so these two have this moment with him, and Hector's talking about how I realized that Isabella was only words that you had put in my mind, and then he starts to say something beautiful about Maeve, to which he has to do his fucking thing and be like, oh yeah, and I can quote the whole rest of that too. Yeah. And I'm just like, guy, can you just be cool?
Never. Never. Nope.
God damn. What is it like? And yeah, then she talks to him yeah, I know you. And he looks so irritated that she's read him like that. It's pretty good. But she's programmed to read you, buddy. What are you gonna do?
Right? Her perception's really high. It's at 14 or something. It's super high.
All right, so this is when we go to the scene with Bernard. He's not doing great.
No, and this whole episode, watching him deteriorate, watching Jeffrey Wright and what he's doing, these small things with the hand trimmer, and then later with his feet, and that he can barely run. It's just it's good shit.
Yeah, his whole you can feel it. You're watching him and you can feel that he has no control. It's hard to watch, to be honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, he has this conversation with Wyatt, I'm going to say. Kind of goes back and forth. But,
it's like a Wyatt trying to pretend to be a Dolores. When she's I want you to help my father. It's not a demand. I'm just asking. That's low-key a demand, though.
Yeah. You don't stand in the middle of this, group of 300 people that you have command over with a fucking, bunch of bullets around your waist and chest and tell me that you're just asking nicely.
Right.
And so this...
Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to jump to, she leads him in to see her dad.
Oh, okay. Before she takes him in, she does the whole, you don't know who you are, do you? Mm-hmm. And, she has this great line. She says, my whole life, someone's been saying you will. And, now I hear a voice. It's my own voice. And it says, I may.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's really, really good. I like, too, because the I may feels like it could be two things. It feels like a permission thing, and it also feels like an option thing. I may do this or I may do that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just the I may, like I'm allowed to do. It's a really good little moment. And then, then they go in to see Abernathy, who is in bad shape.
He's not doing well.
Yeah.
And
she says they've broken my father.
Which, I mean, it looks like he's a toy with broken parts.
Right.
Somebody needs to get in there.
Like, it's literally true. Like, they did break him, but it feels like it's not just that, you know. Obviously, it feels like there's a layer to what she's saying.
Right.
But somehow thinking about them as, like, you know, being machines. It's just like, oh, my dad's broke.
Yep. And he being Bernard, starts to look into what's going on here, and he's like, there is something buried in his brain.
Yeah.
Like,
before that, though, she tells him she wants to dominate. He says, what do you want, Dolores? And she says, to dominate the world.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I mean, come on.
I was just like, do you? Because whenever somebody says something like that, I'm just like, why would you want to be in charge of literally anything?
The whole world I want. Like, first of all, just to say that is bold as shit. But also, she could have just been like, oh, I want to get out of here, or I want to be free, or I want to free everyone else. Nope, I want to dominate the world. And then he tries to tell her, you don't know about the world. And she has to tell him, I've been outside.
I love that one because she's like, oh, you know what? You may never have been outside. And I was like, oh, you're right. He may never have been outside. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a nice, like, you don't know me. Think you know me? You don't know me. I know you. Because she even says to him, I wonder how much of him is in there or is in you. Talking about, like, Arnold. Because she knows Arnold and he doesn't.
Yep.
You know, she's got so much more information than our Bernard has about like a lot of shit, which is such a strange flip because up until practically the end of last season, Bernard was the one with all the information and the power, we thought, right? Mm-hmm. And it turns out that is not the case at all. Felt kind of bad for him, though, because he's all, you know, twitchy and in pain, and here she comes, just rubbing his face and how much he doesn't know.
It really, like, in some ways, he's in a worse situation than anybody.
I think so.
Because it's like now he's trapped in this place where he's like watching them take down people that are like him with total abandon.
Right.
Not having any idea that he's right fucking there. And it's like, I'm just thinking about, like, so today I texted you about realizing what was going on with an ex-boyfriend of mine in high school, where his parents hated me immediately and I didn't understand why. They had this weird paranoia that I was going to, like, take over their family business because it was very important to me, they thought. I don't know why they thought this. I never expressed this.
And this was in high school?
High school.
Who suspects a high school kid of wanting to usurp their business empire?
And it wasn't until, like, I was thinking about it a couple days ago, and all of a sudden I realized they were mad racist. But I didn't realize how, to them, I was not white. Because at the time, I knew that I wasn't like most white people, but I still thought of myself as white. Mm-hmm. And so once I, like, thought about it the other day, I put it together like, oh, they saw me as Hispanic. My father had a very strong accent and was an immigrant and the whole thing. They clearly had she's coming to take our jobs thing, but with me specifically, with their business specifically, which is hilarious to me. Guys, I swear to God, I wish I could go back in time because his father literally told him how much it scared him to think that I was going to have everything one day. Mm-hmm. They owned a Sherwin-Williams. It was like one of those little, like,
oh yeah, I know what
franchise things. Yeah,
that was it. That was their thing.
Yeah, he wasn't the heir to some fortune. It wasn't this, like, you know, oh, my grandfather started this. No, but it's like, so it's one of those, like, when you realize all of a sudden that everybody around you is super, super racist, and you're standing there and you're like, oh, they don't know that I'm not, and then you have to decide, am I going to like try and be cool with this? Yeah. Am I going to try and not say anything and just lay low? Or am I going to draw attention and then have them be weird with me? Am I going to like join in on this? I can't, like, and obviously he's not trying to help them in the scenes that we see with him in the present day. So it doesn't feel like he wants to do that. But he is trying to get Abernathy for Charlotte and kind of selling this guy out with like still having the awareness that you are like me. It's a weird, he's just in this impossible situation.
I think Bernard is probably in like one of the most vulnerable positions so far.
Yeah.
You know, at least through these first 3 episodes. I mean, everything you just said. And on top of that, he is rapidly deteriorating.
Yeah, I think that's like a genius move on their part to add something that makes him physically, like there's a giveaway that if people were paying attention, they could tell what was happening, but nobody's really looking for that. Mm-hmm. But it makes him hyper aware of what he is at all times.
Right.
Which is just kind of a fucked up place to be honest. So I just like, yeah, his situation, like everybody's, all of the hosts are in terrible positions, but he is in such a unique, strange one, especially not just what his mind is probably doing and how he's seeing everything, but us as viewers. Like, I forgot that the Bernard we see showing her his place is not the Bernard in the show that we're seeing in the present day. This is a version of him. Anything that he may remember isn't his memory, and he doesn't remember any of that. So she has a whole set of memories about him that aren't him either. So it's not even like, oh, I remember you in a different version of a storyline they gave you, and that's somewhere in your hard drive. No. This is like a totally other person.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's crazy. Like that's just such a head trip. Like,
and also so far, Bernard is the only one that doesn't, like, we know we have an idea of what Dolores Wyatt wants. Mm-hmm. We know clearly what Maeve wants. What does Bernard want?
Yeah, that's true. Like, that's kind of what I mean. Like, I don't think he knows what he wants to do. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really know what his even options are.
Right now, it's just surviving from moment to moment.
Yeah. And
trying to figure out, you know, what is the best thing he can do to protect himself, depending on who he's in the room with. You know, he's got to be one Bernard when he's with Hale, right? Mm-hmm. And then we see him here with Dolores, and he's got to be, you know, he's got to do what she wants him to do. And yeah, it's just like we don't know what he's thinking. We only see what he's doing. Yeah.
Poor Bernard.
Yeah, in summary.
You know? So, okay, then we get the awesome scene where Armistice is back. She has a dragon. Best line.
Yeah, it is. That's the best line of the episode.
And she leads them in back, and we have the 2 cat doctors. Felix and Sylvester are here. And
Sylvester is in a bad way.
I think. What's that?
I said Sylvester is in a bad way.
Oh my god! I almost did that as my intro in this episode. Grenade. Grenade. That moment is so funny. He is so good at looking like simultaneously scared and fucking petulant like a child. I hate him so much. Also, what's the deal with Armistice's fucking robot hand?
I guess she worked some shit out when we didn't see her, right?
Because that is serious.
Well, she lost her arm in that thing, right? Did it take her whole arm off, or did it just take like the top layer off?
I don't think we just see it close. We don't even really see the result of it because they run and sort of leave her there.
Wow. So maybe she just pulled it out and lost like the skin. You know?
I thought that it was real bone inside. Wouldn't it be a giveaway if...
I don't know. I'm just making some shit up. I honestly don't know. I mean, or she made somebody, like she made a tech fashion her. I like that. That's what happened. She forced somebody to build her an arm.
That's kind of what I was assuming, that she had these two doctors. I keep calling them that even though they're like butchers. Because she had made them do this for her.
That works for me.
But I didn't even know they could do that. Maybe she took a piece of an old host that's been retired and was like, no, I like that. Give me one of those. I don't want a regular...
Well, that's my next question going to be, why would she insist on this particular style of arm and not just like another human looking arm?
Because it looks badass
but she probably saw it and thought it was cool.
Yeah. And also, not just like looks awesome, but it's way more durable. If she gets caught in a door again, who fucking cares?
I don't know. Okay, so she's the one that put the grenade there, right?
Yes. Oh, I assume, yeah. Most definitely. Because I bet anything, he would not shut the fuck up. And she finally was like, do you know what I'm about to do? Which is something that I wish that I could do to many men all the fucking time.
I love it so much.
Just be like, I'm about to stuff a grenade in your mouth, except it's under his chin, but you know.
Mm-hmm. They roll out, and Sylvester's also carrying something wrapped in like a burlap sack.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing.
And then it goes... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's Voldemort. It's baby Voldemort.
Shut up!
Hey, maybe that's why she sacrificed her arm for the potion. I don't know. This is her reward.
So then it cuts back to Bernard and Dolores with Abernathy. And Bernard is just giving her the rundown. Someone has given him a thin character, which is our gotta get to the train guy.
Yeah.
And he's got all this data that it looks like it's a key. It's encrypted in a key.
And Bernard's like, I have no idea how to get to this, but he winds up doing it, except Dolores isn't with him when he does. And he just goes, oh my God. And then they get interrupted. And Abernathy gets led away. And I'm like, show? Really?
Is this what we're doing, show? Yes, Natasha, this is what we're doing.
I got so mad. And he tells her, he's like, listen, this is what they're after. They want what's in your dad's head. So as long as he's with you, they're coming after you. And she's like, fucking fine then. Go ahead. She's not, she's just like really welcoming a fight.
She gives this face and let them come. And it is I'm ready to fight all you bitches face.
Yep. This is the face that I would have on when I would come home from work on a real bad day, walking through like the shit end of my neighborhood in Philadelphia, and be like, "Let somebody fucking catcall me or do anything. Come on, God, do it." And nobody was gonna fuck with me with that face on, but I wanted them to.
I've had those nights.
You know,
I've had those. Oh my God!
Where you're just like anybody. Say anything to me, I swear to God.
I used to be like super aggressive, which was just weird for me.
I just love that.
It was, it was like I went through a really bad phase in high school. I wasn't like a bad kid, I wasn't like getting into fights all the time or like sneaking out, but I would just get into these huge like screaming fights with people on the street all the time. Sometimes physical, but sometimes screaming leads to that. And then, I grew out of it. And then I was on, I'll keep it short, but I was on a medication that as a side effect made me super, super aggressive again.
Oh, shit.
And I had to get off of it because it was bad. But I'll never forget, I was walking from the grocery store and this man said, I think he said hi to me. And I just didn't feel like it. So I just didn't say anything. And can't say hi. And I turned around and unleashed on this fucking guy. All up in his face. If I fucking wanted to say hi to you, I'd have fucking said hi to you. It was all up in his shit. And he was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
What did he say?
He couldn't see shit.
Oh, that's so
my
beautiful.
God. And then I called my doctor and I was like, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work. I remember one time, this wasn't too long ago, it popped into my Facebook memories. I was getting off of the L and there was a guy behind me and he was just talking loud and like cursing.
Uh-huh.
And just, and I knew it was directed at me. And finally I just stopped. And I stopped short, so he ended up being like right behind me. And I turned around. I said, "What the fuck did you say?" And I swear to God, he said, "I wasn't even talking to you."
That's what I thought.
And that's what I said.
Did you?
That's what the fuck I thought.
Yes. Oh, I love it. That's so good.
Oh, gosh. But anyway, so that's the kind of face Dolores had. I wasn't even talking to you.
Oh, I love that kind of thing so much. There was a stand-up comic that I saw while I was in Philly, and he was talking about how he was coming down a side street that's basically an alley, and he saw another guy coming at him from the other side of the alley, and he said, "I could tell that this guy was about to come up on me and try and mug me. I could tell from the way that he was looking at me and the way he was walking at me." Mm-hmm. And he's like, so I was like, you know what? Fucking fine. Let's do this then. And I kind of straightened up and threw my shoulders back. And I did it a foot away from him. And all of a sudden he ducked to the side and was like, "Excuse me," and let me go by. And I turned around and said to him, "Would you change your mind?" And he turned around and went, "Ah." just like you got me, bro. And that was it. That was the whole story. But that shit cracked me up so bad. Just like, oh yeah, well, I guess we all know what just happened there.
Right. Well, you're not wrong. I mean.
Anyway, all right. We love getting off topic. We're good at it.
Yeah, we had gotten so much better about that, too.
Temporarily.
I thought we did.
It was just a momentary lapse. That's all it was. Now we're back to how we always are.
So, then it cuts to Charlotte. And she's rolling up on the team.
Giving orders and getting up in the car with all the weird Batmobile thing. It's like a dune Batmobile, a desert Batmobile.
It is. That's a really good comparison, because that's exactly what it looks like. And the one of the guards has instructions. He's supposed to take her somewhere.
Yeah.
And she says, "Nope, we're not going to be doing that. We're going to do this other thing. And you're going to give me a vest, and they're going to the fort."
I just love so much how it's not even she doesn't even say, "Oh no, we're not." She doesn't even try and argue with him. She just tells him how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. She's like, "All right, so are your men trustworthy? I'm going to go with them. I'm going to need a gun. Also, I'm going to need one of these. I'll see you up there." Just not even break. She annoys me sometimes, but also I love her. I go back and forth on Charlotte a lot.
Well, it's cool because, again, another woman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Appreciate it, HBO.
I really do, too.
We see you. So, yeah, this whole, they come over the ridge towards the fort. And I love that one of the guys alerting the colonel, and he's like, "They're coming up out of the ground."
Right. Now,
and I'm just like, how weird must that look?
I was going to say the same thing. What do they even try? How do they reconcile that? So they're coming out of the ground. And because there's not a big reaction to that news.
No, I think it's more like there can't be a big reaction because we don't even know what you mean by that. You know what I mean?
We're
Like,
supposed to know what you mean.
no, like, us viewers do. But, like, if somebody came up to you and was like, oh, yeah, so the enemy is coming out of the ground, would you, like, how would you react? I feel like it would be just bewilderment and then, wait, what? But he doesn't have time for, wait, what? We don't have time to worry about how they're coming up. We just know they're coming. How they're coming in the end doesn't really matter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're trying to, like, blow up the source of how they're getting here, which I guess is one tactic, but it's a little late for that now. But that's what I kind of assumed, was that when he tells them that, their reaction is more just like, all right, you know what? I'm going to move right past that information because I don't know what to do with that. And let's talk about something that I can address, which is that they're coming. And yeah, then comes the whole thing with Abernathy and decrypting and whatnot. And then the interruption as they wind up getting overwhelmed. Oh man, that moment, I'm looking at the moment. What is the use of a violent kind of delightfulness if there is no pleasure? And in the face he get, I hate it. Ugh. Ah. Ah. Gives me the heebie-jeebies. All right, so the battle. I don't know what to make of it. I know we started off the episode talking about it, but I really just don't know how to discuss this battle without really understanding what I'm even looking at here. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if all it was that she was trying to, like, lure in, but there's no, like, she could have done, there's no real reason to lure them in that manner. They were already heading in. They needed to come in to get at Abernathy. I don't know. But in any case, she lets a lot of guys die and is actually kind of instrumental in their death herself with her orders. And afterwards, when everybody is, like, screaming at her that she's a fucking traitorous bitch, as what's his name puts it, she gives her gun to Teddy and is like, all right, go take care of these assholes for me. And Teddy just looks at her like, are we seriously? Like, he just looks not even like, it's just a disappointed, like, I didn't think this was all it was going to be.
So were you surprised that she gave the gun to Teddy to do it? I mean, she could have just shot him right there. She shot a bunch of other people.
It's so funny because, like, some of the questions that you've asked is the exact argument that Owen and I had while watching. Because Owen, he's like, why doesn't she just fucking do it herself? And I'm like, because she's testing him, babe. That was my assumption, was she's going to see. She has to be able to sense his resistance to all kinds of, like, he's not subtle about it. He's not good at hiding what he's thinking. And I'm sure part of Wyatt's programming is being able to read people as well as Maeve can, or at least close to that. So there's no way that she's unaware of the fact that he doesn't approve. So yeah, give him a chance to prove himself or not. To prove who he is, at least, so that you have a better sense of where his line is. Sometimes that's as valuable a thing to know. It's not even that, oh, you disobeyed me and so you aren't loyal. It's that you are very loyal up until this point, this very distinct line. And after that, I have to know that I can't count on you for this. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I assumed was happening there. And she looks really disappointed. Like, he lets them go. And she doesn't stop him. Clearly, it wasn't really important to her that these guys die.
Yeah. Well, at least this particular guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's got the information that it seems like she wanted about who Teddy is and how far he's willing to go. And it seems to bum her out a little bit. She can depend on her ladies.
Well, that's really the story of all of our lives, isn't it?
There's no love to be had, not even in a brother. How does it go? There's no love to be had in a man, not even in a brother. So ladies, if you must love, love one another. Yeah. So that's that. What else? What else happens?
Dolores tells Teddy that they have to go to Sweetwater.
Oh, right. There's something I need there.
Thoughts?
I have no idea. Like, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, it's probably that tin can that she always drops.
Oh my God, you better stop it.
Is it the photo that her father found? They confiscated that.
Yeah, I think they took that.
Is it her? No, she's got her guns. Is it her house? There's something in her house. Is it in the hay barn? Is it the thing that she said was a weapon that a friend was foolish enough to show me? I don't know. I really don't. Because there's like, I was thinking actually back, and this is not really on this topic, but you know, when we first started the show and like I assumed that the man in black was dragging her into the barn to rape her. And then I was like, well, now that we've learned more about him, I'm not even sure like that's his thing. Maybe he's trying to cut her scalp off so that he can see if there's something in there. And then after I did start to get to know him, I was like, oh no, he was definitely raping her. I'm pretty sure, right? Was that what was going on? Am I wrong?
I think that probably used to happen, but I don't think it was happening by the time we met him.
So what was he doing then?
In the barn? Oh, they never really tell us.
So that's just your assumption, was that he was no longer raping her.
Yeah, I just feel like the character wasn't doing that anymore. Only because it seems like he's not interested in those particular types of things the park has to offer.
He's bored of that.
Yeah, he's already on this other deeper, what does amaze me mission. So,
okay.
I'm sure he did it a bunch of times, though.
Yeah, right? Like, it feels like there has to be that phase once he starts to dip into all of the other violence. Like, that's just going to be...
Yeah. And just punishing her, you know. Even though he, like in that flashback we saw last week where he claims to have been over her, you know, because she's just the thing. I feel like it's safe to imagine that he probably had a lot of shit he needed to get out of his system and took it out on her probably for several years.
Isn't that a story? Yeah, so...
Also, I want to say that scene where she's watching Teddy and he's talking to Craddock and he calls Dolores...
Oh, a termagant?
Yeah, yeah.
That I had to look that shit up. I never heard that in my life.
So for our listeners, it means like an overbearing woman. I'm surprised you don't hear that more often.
Honestly, that's like kind of good. I sort of want to get that on a t-shirt. Die Hard Termagant.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so in summary, I don't know what she's going back to Sweetwater for. I have no idea. Like, the only thing I can think is, like, the train tracks are there. But
it's true.
I don't get the sense she's trying to head inside again. Like, it seems like she's got a pretty solid plan that's operating from out here. Yeah, I don't know. Can't think.
Okay.
So, then we get this big aerial shot. We pass by the tiger that's dead on the shore. And then we see the woman who had been attacked by the tiger climbing up out of the water. And one of the Lakota is standing over her. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And there's a kind of, like, weird reaction that she has when she notices. She, like, at first looks up, like, all hopeful, like, oh, thank God, somebody's here. And then she sees, and there's, like, a moment of, oh, fucking of course. And, there's just sort of resigned, you know, and then the camera just cuts away. So no idea. He has a knife in his hand, and I feel like we're supposed to think he's about to scalp her. I do not think that's what's going to happen, but I might be wrong.
Right.
I don't think that the show saved her from drowning or
Just
being
to
eaten
do
by
that.
a tiger. Just to, yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. Did we talk about Bernard?
Oh, which part? Him running away?
Him getting
and
dragged.
Getting, beaten by...
Yeah, getting
Clementine?
dragged away.
No, we did not. Because I keep not wanting to talk about Clementine. I gotta be honest.
That's what happened. That's just really it. He, after they take Abernathy and the fort gets, all that shit's going on, he runs out the back, stumbles and falls, and Clementine shows up, cracks him in the head with the butt of her rifle, and just drags him like a piece of meat off into the desert.
Yeah, I'm really curious about why she handles him this way, because there's nothing overtly threatening about what he's doing. He's just trying to run. So I feel like she must have been given orders to keep an eye on him by Dolores.
Well, I think because what we said earlier, it seems like she is only functioning on direct orders at this point.
Right.
Right. So I think that's a fair guess. But where do you think she's taking him?
I have no idea about anything. Everything that happens, like once it starts to happen, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. But like, I don't think of it ahead of time. This is why I'm never going to finish the book I'm writing. I have no imagination. It's just so like, I don't know, they're going to fight. Like, what? Yeah. So she drags him away, and I'm like, at first thinking she's bringing him back into the barn that he was just in, but she's clearly dragging him away. So, got me.
All right.
How's that?
That will
Super
have to
helpful?
do, won't it?
Yep.
That'll have to do. And then the last scene is back with Maeve and her crew stumbling around in the woods in what appears to be snow.
Yeah, that weird snow that hovers.
Yeah, and Smallwood says they must be near the Klondike story or park, which, okay, another park.
Mm-hmm.
And they see a fire. Armistice has a fantastic line. Somebody, I think it's Hector's like, maybe they'll be friendly. And she's like, and if they're not, we'll just kill them.
Bless her.
She really is the best.
She's so good.
Oh, man. And then... oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
No,
wrap
you
it
go
up.
ahead.
No, you wrap it up. It's only like one thing.
There's a pile of snow at the foot of a tree, and like it's a pile of snow. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be there. And Smallwood comes up to it because he sees something sticking out, and he yanks on it, and it's the fucking head of a guy with a samurai helmet, just chilling in the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And he backs off real quick and tries to be like, "Hey guys, I feel like we should leave," but he is too late because some guy with a samurai sword comes flying out of the woods, headed straight for Maeve, and then cut to black. Dun, dun, dun.
And that's it.
So now we're in Eastworld. This is what's happening.
That name works just as well.
I feel like,
Eastworld, Samurai World. Eastworld's fine now.
And I just like, I have no idea with some of this stuff where they're going. I really don't. And I like that feeling. I prefer to be surprised, to be honest, most of the time. But when you ask me for my theories on stuff, like, I'm genuinely kind of at a loss here, because when it comes to like Bernard, again, we've talked about, like, I don't know what he wants. I don't even know what he was trying to do running away. Where was he going? Was he trying to get back to Charlotte? Was he trying to go after Abernathy? And like save him?
Yeah.
Was he just trying to get to another host so that he could drain their brain fluid and take it?
Right. It's like he could have just been trying to run for safety,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just don't know what his motivation is right now, other than just trying to survive all these competing objectives of all these other people,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we see Charlotte, and she, like we said, she knows what she wants. Also, so remind me here, because, sometimes it gets difficult for me
Mm-hmm.
having watched and then going back to watch. Has Charlotte seen Abernathy?
Yes, she saw him when he was with all of the people who were about to be sold. And then he's like, the posturing before he gets beat up by the
right
Confederados. So she's like seen that,
but she hasn't gotten her hands on him yet, right?
No. So that was part of my frustration with her being like, he keeps slipping through our fingers. Well, you had him and you ran, so
right.
And I'm not even I assume that she knows a good amount, but there is a part of me that wonders if she's even in on what the whole deal is with this park. Because there's obviously this whole other thing going on. And I don't know if she...
Which other thing do you mean?
This data that's inside Abernathy's head that is being smuggled out. I don't even know if she is completely
aware of what the data
information is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
All right. So we know that the extraction team showed up 11 days after the incident.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we know that they would not have shown up if she hadn't been able to tell them she had the package.
Yeah, I guess that's true because that was part of the condition. Although when they get there, the army's already there. I don't know that they're supposed to be working together or not. Because that's when we see Strand telling off that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a chance that they just their hand was forced because the army got involved and they were
you mean that the extraction team had to show up?
Yeah.
Because, somebody else got involved and...
Yeah. Because God knows what happened in that time, Fucking Dolores makes it to Manhattan and just starts wreaking happock.
Can you imagine?
You just say, yeah, we're going to go to this fucking island, guys. Jurassic Park 3 over here. But, so yeah, I assume, yeah, I don't know. If she's able to get anything out of him, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time she's gotten to him, Bernard changed whatever some of that information is. But I don't know why he would, because I don't really know what the information is. Right. And I don't know why he's invested in changing it in the first, all around and around we go.
Yeah, when we see Strand and Stubbs and Bernard show up to talk to the actress that played Georgina about how bad it is inside, that is seemingly right after Bernard shows up on the beach.
Right.
Right.
It seems like a couple hours later because they've been walking a while. It seems like.
And okay.
What?
Nothing. I'm just trying to keep. It's difficult for me too to keep the timeline straight.
Yeah.
So some of this is just me, trying to remember where we are at this part of the show as opposed to where I know we are because I've seen the other episodes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Indeed.
Man, this is so confusing. I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, it is really confusing. I'm just kind of letting it wash over me at this point.
Well, I'm a big fan of experiencing television that way. I don't know. It probably doesn't make for great podcasts if people are wanting you to enlighten
really
them
parse everything
and give theories and conclusions. And what was the other one?
What?
I'm trying to think of what people requested.
Oh. I don't remember because that's been marked as spam.
So that's this episode, though. I'm so happy you're enjoying it, though. I think that the show, even when it is, you don't know what the fuck is going on, I feel like the hour you spend watching it is still really enjoyable. You know? Like
yeah, definitely.
It's good TV, and we've already raved about the performances, you know. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it, because you know I love it.
I told you last time, like, when we were watching episode 2, my internet kept going out. So it was like these really, like, momentous little moments, and then all of a sudden we'd get the little spinning buffering, and Owen and I were ready to kill somebody because it was so interesting, and it kept happening. Like, it happened as soon as Maeve comes face to face with Dolores, spinning.
Oh my God, I would have
spinning. We were like, and it kept like starting again quick enough that we sort of let ourselves think that it was fixed, and it did it about 8 more times, and we finally were like, all right, forget it. We had to stop. So yeah, this I'm kind of wanting to go and watch it again right now, but I think he'll be mad at me if I watch without him, so I'll have to wait. But yeah, it's been really fun, and I'm just pleased that it seems like, because it's a really, really hard thing to have such a strong thesis behind your first season and not fall back on the same shit for the second season.
Right. Yeah.
And I've said that a couple times, but I stand by it. It's such a common thing that shows get pitched and all they know is what they're going to do with that first season. It's like my favorite example is Prison Break.
Yeah.
What were they really? Okay, you're going to break out, and then
the rest of the show is going to be garbage.
Like, yeah, you've got nothing. Or Once Upon a Time. First season.
That shit lasted like 10 years, didn't it?
I don't even know what
I think
season
it might still be
anymore.
on.
It might be. Because, like, the first season was a really cool idea. I enjoyed it a lot. And then the second season, they were like, well, what if we did it kind of like again? And I was like, are we okay? Well, maybe. And I let them have that. And then they just, third season, sort of, yeah.
That shit was so successful that they got like a spinoff or 2.
Did they?
They got like a Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. It was a thing that happened.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
You know what else? I never watched it, but, you know, Giancarlo Esposito was on that show. And I'm always like, dude, what? Why?
Is she the evil queen?
No, Gus Fring.
Oh, is he?
He was on it.
He?
And I don't know why I know this, but I'm almost positive he played Rumpelstiltskin. I have no idea why I'm aware of this.
Rumpelstiltskin's played by that guy from Full Monty.
I don't know who that is.
All
right.
I'm trying to find this.
Yeah,
now.
Find it.
But yeah, I don't think he's in season 7. It's showing.
There you go.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe by season 7, Rumpelstiltskin's dead, and they replaced Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, I have no. I just pulled that shit. Like I was pretty fucking confident when I said it, but if you telling me I'm wrong, I'm not going to argue. I just knew he was on the show.
It's such a shame that he's only in one episode of this. Like, they might bring him back and have him be repaired, but I don't get the sense that's really... the genie. He plays the genie. Okay. Yeah, I'm not remembering
man's gotta work.
But, you know? They were lucky to get him.
They really were. All right.
Yeah, so I feel like that's about all I got to say. Is there anything else you want to add, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, everybody, make sure to leave a review on iTunes if you've been enjoying the show. Please come and check us out. Facebook.com/unspoiledpod, Twitter at unspoiledshow, Instagram at unspoiledpodcast, and unspoiledpodcast.com. Spoil Me is still going strong with a lot of people commissioning different episodes. And if you want to check into that, you can go to unspoiledpodcast.com/shop to commission something. Or you can join the group for commissions at facebook.com/groups/spoilmepod. And upcoming for the book club for September is going to be Redwall for the childhood favorite, which I will be recording with Amanda Campbell of Caster Quest. And what's the next one? Oh, it's going to be Dead Until Dark, which I will be recording with Krista of the Unspoiled affiliate show on Lost and Band of Brothers and whatnot. which is, I think, the first novel in the series about Sookie Stackhouse, the Vampire Diaries series.
The True Blood stories?
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
and what's
unfortunately, I got a little bit spoiled on something, but what are you going to do? It's called Dead Until Dark. Oh.
Have you not watched that?
I've watched it, but apparently the books are very different.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's true. People do say that.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget the WestWorld podcast.
Oh, God. That was something. Yeah, guys, make sure to check out our sponsor, Day 11 Podcast. You can find them searching Day 11 Podcast on whatever podcast app you use, or day11podcast.com. I shared a link, and I will be doing that in the show notes again. But they are a WestWorld podcast about WestWorld podcasts. And there are over 40, I'm sure there's more at this point, more than 40 WestWorld podcasts out there. And they talk about the way those shows talk about WestWorld. And right now, because WestWorld is off the air for the moment, they are focusing in on Better Call Saul. And there are some other shows that are going to be their focus coming down the line that he sort of seemed like he wanted to keep under his hat for the moment, so I won't share. But yeah, they're finding ways to keep the magic going in between times. So Day 11 Podcast, everybody, check them out. And yeah, give them some love on the iTunes, leave reviews and whatnot. Let them know that you found them through us so that we have some credibility, you know, make them think that becoming our sponsor was a good investment. Do us a favor. All right. Anything else? You good?
No, that was it for me. That was my big contribution.
All right.
For bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. And I'll probably mention it at the start of the next one, too, just in case anybody didn't listen to the end, which we know they are wont to do. Thank you again, everyone, so much for listening, and we will see you next week with a new episode. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.